Hi and welcome back to the garden. In this video I'm going to show you how to collect and store Echinacea seeds. These are the seed heads, so continue watching and I'll show you what to do. We have two beautiful varieties of Echinacea in our garden, and this is one of them. This is Echinacea purpurea Magnus, and these are the developing seed heads. This is a beautiful pink Echinacea, quite big heads, lovely orange centre, and it grows around 75 centimetres to a metre tall, and it has this low growing foliage and then this erect stem which comes up and bears the beautiful flowers. It's freestanding, so it doesn't need to be staked. These stems are quite stiff, so it does hold its own. And at this time of year, these lovely flowers that used to be there have now turned into the seed heads. And on this one, we have 3 seed heads that are developing. There's 2 that are still very much have an orange tone to them, these 2. And this third one is a bit further along the development, so it's a little bit further along with the seed making development, but it's still not quite ready. But this one in my hand is. So the difference you can see is this has gone completely black and these ones still have the orange kind of tones to them, so they're not quite ready. And when you do start to see that the Echinacea head is looking like this kind of black colour, it's a good idea to whip the head off and then put it somewhere to dry for a few days, particularly if you've been having a lot of rainfall like we have recently. So I was proactive enough to notice this the other day, and I whipped it off before the rain got hold, and I've had this drying in our summer house for a few days, so now it's completely dry. We can now make the next step of extracting the seeds from this lovely seed head. Collecting the seed from Echinaceas is a joy. They've already starting to come away from the cone. What I've done in recent years is just gently tap these away and the seed come out. But what I thought I'd try today is a method of extracting the seed without having to manually dig it out from where it is. So with that, I've just got this plastic container, and basically you pop the seed head in it and you give it a shake, and what you end up with is all that seed breaking away from the cone. If you give it a really good shake, and because it's see-through I can see what I'm looking at, I'm just going to keep doing it until most of it is off. So I think that's pretty much as I've got there. That's pretty much all of it off. That's quite a satisfying thing to do actually. And there's just a few bits I'm just going to break away that's just been missed. So that in itself is quite a spectacular seed head, and if you leave these on the plant over the winter time, the actual seed will drop, and this is what you'll be left with, these wonderful cone like, almost like witches' hats, or kind of, yeah, witches' hat type structures. And if you leave them in the winter garden, you'll find that if you get a bit of frost or a bit of snow over the top, they'll just look spectacular. Fantastic. So I'm left now with a container full of seed, but it also has a lot of the other debris in there as well. And what I'm just going to try and do now is just sift through this. So I'm going to pop the whole thing on this metal tray. And make sure it's a non-windy day, because if you did this outside on a windy day, you'll find that all the seed will just gone, and we don't want that. So I'm just going to quickly just go through this seed now and just try and discard any obvious pieces of material that are not seeds. And what I'm looking for is the seed itself, which is a little bit like sawdust. It looks a bit like pieces of wood actually. And this is what we're looking for. So little pieces that are very pale brown. They look a bit like pieces of wood or sawdust or something. And they're the actual seeds. So they're what we want to be collecting. So with a little seed packet, I have these little seed packets. I bought these online, and these have a little bit of information that you can write down. So you can write down the seed name, when you collected it, and any notes for the sowing of the seed. So I find these really, really useful. So with regards to putting the seed away, I'm just looking for those pieces, and I'm going to discard the rest, because it's those little pieces that look a bit like pieces of wood are the ones that we want. So this is dry. If the seed had any more moisture at this point, I would leave it for another few days. So leave it on this tray and just leave it to dry out a little bit longer before I store it. Because if you start to store seed that is got any moisture to it, it's going to have the potential of rotting, and we don't want that. So you'll find a lot of plant debris in amongst all this, and it's just a case of collecting the seed and discarding the rest. I find this job really therapeutic. One of those jobs you can really set your mind to. Spend 20 minutes or so sorting through what you've got and collecting all this wonderful seed. So I'm going to save this seed for spring to sow. Echinacea purpurea doesn't really need a cold stratification process, whereas some other varieties of Echinacea, such as the species Echinacea pallida, does need some stratification. So what that means is we just leave it, we sow it in the winter time, we leave it over winter to get the cold, to get the rain, to build up all the moisture, and that just helps to break the dormancy, so that when the spring comes and we have an increase in temperature, that then stimulates the seed to germinate. But as I say, this is Echinacea purpurea Magnus, so this doesn't really need a period of cold stratification. If you are going to be sowing other types of Echinaceas, just check online or check your gardening books and just make sure that it doesn't need that period of cold in order to break the dormancy. The other variety of Echinacea I have is Echinacea white swan, and that is again another purpurea type of Echinacea, and we have that growing in another part of the garden near where our tree is, and we have a cluster of those that we've grown from bare root plants in the spring. Now bare root plants are really, really good for growing a lot of plants at a cheap cost, because you can get a packet of bare root plants and it doesn't cost that much money at all. Whereas if you were to buy the actual plant growing in a container from a nursery or a garden centre, you're looking at buying a plant from between maybe £5 up to £10–12. Whereas the bare root plants, for a fraction of the cost, for maybe £5, you can get 3 bare root plants. And now is the time, if you wanted to be planting bare roots, or you could always wait until the spring. Spring is a good time to plant bare root plants as well. We do have a video of us growing the Magnus, which you've just seen, and also the white swan, and we grew them from bare roots in the spring, and we do have a video, so if you'd like to check that out, I'll just pop a link to it at the top of the screen there for you. I'm going to continue sorting through this beautiful seed. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments about this process, please drop them in the comments box below the video. Please give us a like, and also please subscribe. We'll see you very soon on the next video. In the meantime, please take care.